what's your tune? Don't leave it.
So, I've been trying to actually keep notes on what to talk about next before I just upload another 15-minute video of me rambling. And I did make some notes, but then now I have started the video before reading them beforehand, so I'm just going to improvise again. But I remember, I think one of the most significant ones was that I fundamentally have never felt like the main character in my own life. I've always felt like I think it's called an NPC. And I think that's why I've always found it more comfortable to just live vicariously through other people, on YouTube or celebrities or whatever. And I can trace this back to the first instance of where it was a big problem for me, and that was in the first year of sixth form, which, you know, we're talking like almost 20 years ago now, 19 years ago, 18 years ago. And for whatever reason, I became a bit of a shell. Within about 6 months, I became a shell of myself. Put on weight, became very self-conscious, paranoid, sort of an agoraphobic, stopped seeing my friends, stopped going to sixth form, and I got really into a show called Smallville, and all I wanted to do was watch Smallville. Like, I just lost myself in that show, and I just had like fantasies about me being Clark Kent and having my own Lana Lang, you know, because I did, in a sense. Like, I was seeing a very attractive girl at sixth form, like punching massively above my weight. Somehow I had some great experiences with her. She had a boyfriend at the time, so it doesn't exactly reflect well on her, but I wasn't going to say no because she was stunning. And yeah, ever since then, like, because I can't really trace it back any further, but I've always felt like I'm not the main character of my own life. And I think that's partly why I have had such a huge problem connecting to myself and knowing where to go in my life or what decision to make. I have had terrible time making decisions, and all these things compound on your mental health and just make it worse. Like, because I had such a terrible time making a decision on where to go to uni, I essentially didn't select one in the year. Like, I was always going to have a gap year, and I had a close friend that did the same. So we spent a year basically working at our local supermarket, and the plan was always to go travelling together, and he did and I didn't. And again, I don't really know why, because I should have. It's part of growing up and becoming a more well-rounded person, and life experiences and broadening your horizons, and I'm definitely been stunted in that way. So he went off and travelled, and I spent months obsessing about where to go to uni. He had set it all up by then, and the time came and went and I hadn't made a decision, so I had to take a second gap year, and I feel like that was really damaging to me mentally. Seeing all my friends moving on with their lives, taking the next step, starting uni, becoming an adult, basically stepping out on their own 2 feet, and there was me still working part-time at my local supermarket and just not knowing what the fuck to do, just feeling so lost and helpless and alone. So then I finally, after 2 years, decided to go and study at Winchester University. And, you know, I remember, like, because my dad was a builder at the time, so I'd go and help him out, do some jobs and stuff, fencing and stuff. And there's some things that he said to me over the years that are really stuck in my head, made me feel about this big. And I don't know if I don't think he did it intentionally, because he is a good man, but, you know, there was one time that it was probably about May 2009, and I was waiting to go to uni in September 2009, and he sort of, like, we were talking about it, and he said to me, it basically said, like, it's a shame you've got to wait a whole 6 months before your life can begin. And it just made me feel like so pathetic that I basically was wasting these months and years of my life, because I should have done it by now. And then the time finally came. I finally went to Winchester, and I dropped out in about, I think it was 9 weeks all in, because I just felt so alone, and it felt so wrong. I felt so alone and so alien. I remember walking through the local park a few weeks in and just looking around me, like the way that I felt, I just thought, this can't be right. What the hell is wrong with me? And I think it might have been something called adjustment disorder, because I fucked up. I sort of went off the rails, not in the sense of getting in trouble, but just retreating into myself and becoming a shell of my former self, in sixth form, that I never really got any closure from that, and I feel like part of me has always been stuck there. And it's tragic to say that 20 years later. Obviously I have moved on in my life in certain ways, but in some ways I haven't. And yeah, I'm still looking at this Rhyth Me A thing. I think I might put a post up about it on my close friends on Instagram soon, and be like, anyone want to do this with me? Because I would like to do it, but I don't know if I can do it myself, because I've done things that really affect your ability to control and look after yourself before, and I just know how important the environment is that you do that in. When I went and did some ketamine sessions at a clinic in London, I definitely did not get what I could have out of that experience, because I essentially did it in like I think this company also whitens teeth. Oh, and it offers ketamine infusions for depression. So I essentially did it in like a dentist's office with a guy that I'd only known for about 45 minutes, a doctor, and there was people in the hallway going up and down, and there was vote Labour, and there was the guy just stepped out of the pub there and just shouted vote Labour to everyone. Okay, it's a bit late for that now, isn't it? And there was people, that's really thrown me off. There was, God, there's always weird things that happen while I'm in the middle of a video. Yeah, people going up and down, and it just made me feel so vulnerable. And I couldn't help but think, like, you know, because there's a scene in a film called Law Abiding Citizen, where basically, I won't spoil it, but there's a guy on a table and he's been given a toxin that paralyzes him, and then Gerard Butler, the main character, does stuff to him. And you know, when you're on ketamine, you are completely incapacitated. You're in space, you know, you're not on this planet anymore, but your body, physically, you can't move it. You know, you are totally in the care of hopefully somebody that's looking after you. And that's why Matthew Perry died, because apparently, I mean, he was in a fucking jacuzzi, so he drowned. And you're not saving yourself when you're on ketamine underwater. You're fucked. So God knows what he went through in his final moments. Hopefully he was just off on a different planet somewhere, and even the sensation of drowning wasn't the way you would normally think about it, because everything is turned on its head when you take ketamine. The concept of time, the feeling of your own body, everything. Like, I remember my legs becoming just impossibly long all of a sudden, and then the next minute I was like floating around Jupiter. So anyway, yeah, he should have had someone with him, and apparently his PA administered the dose, so she should have fucking known. Somebody, one of the two of them should have known how much ketamine fucks you up and you are not in control of your body. But they didn't. So yeah, if I take ayahuasca, I want to be with someone that I know, that I trust. I'm sure all the people at this retreat, Rhyth Me A, are perfectly trustworthy and caring, and they want the best for you, but they will be strangers essentially. And you do it in a room with dozens of other people that have all just been there for a day or two, that come from all over the world, could be anyone. So you are in a very vulnerable state, and I just feel like that would affect my experience. But I also feel, I feel it would be very difficult. It will be a very tough journey, but I've been through very tough psychedelic journeys, and I feel like this is the one that would show me, it would literally put it on a plate in front of me on a big screen. This is why you're so depressed. And I kind of know why, because of the way my life's gone, but I struggle to understand why my life has gone this way. Like, I don't want to say it, I don't say this in jest, but was I abused as a child? Because the way that the world is so hostile to me a lot of the time, I think that's the kind of thing they experience, people that have been abused as a child. But surely, I know people block memories out, but surely I'd have some semblance of that, and I don't think I was. But I've got a feeling I've got repressed memories, and I want to unlock them and process them and move on and accept them. So if I do, the next thing I do will either be MDMA, which I still have, and I still haven't done it for the same sorts of reasons, and not knowing, because I try to take my brain health seriously, and you just, even though the data is pretty conclusive that it doesn't harm you up with one sensibly dosed trip, you can never be sure, can you? And you can't go back once you've done it. So but again, I want the same sort of comfort feeling and of safety in my environment and surroundings. So it'll either be ketamine, not ketamine, I won't do ketamine again. I didn't see anything from it particularly. I started to see a little glimmer of hope 6 sessions in, but there was £600 a session. So I'd already, with the consultation as well, I'd already spent £4,000, and I felt so paranoid and horrible getting myself over to London to do it in the first place, and the feeling of the experience is not very nice. The trip itself is okay, different, weird, completely surreal, the most odd thing I've ever done out of all the psychedelics. But the feeling you have after, you can tell it's really hard on your body, and a man-made chemical, and probably not very good for you. I think it fucks up your liver or bladder. So that's not the one for me. But if I do anything next, it'll either be MDMA or ayahuasca, hopefully with someone that I know can just go and do a retreat in Costa Rica for a week and have a great time doing it as well. But also, complete side note, I have finally started talking, put the effort in to try and strike up some conversations with some girls on Hinge. There's already 3 that I am attracted to and like the look of, so I've messaged them, so it's now up to them whether they answer me or not.